I'm back
I've
in.
got a little square on my. I don't know what that square is for though. Got a little square up there. So you know what's interesting now, Tim, is like I seem to have a border on your screen that I didn't have before. And look at that. Ceox is not correct either over here. It's coming through orange.
I see it as green.
You see it as green. Interesting.
Wow, that's
On
a
the actual
pop.
huh?
Yours is coming through as red on mine. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
on video it's green. That's funny.
Yeah, that's very interesting. You wonder kind of what's happening there. Oh, did you
It's
try
because of
playing
the
with
green
some
screen. Yeah,
huh?
it's because of my
Oh, you
filters.
put the green screen. You put the green on. That's what I was saying earlier. You should have tried to get black. You should have tried to chroma key out black and see what happened.
All right, let me see if I can play around. I'll
Kind of
play
have some
around. You
fun with
guys
that.
talk amongst
All right. So
yourselves.
anyway, so on Ceox tonight. So for anybody who's tuned in before, you know that Ceox is really where we try to focus on well-being in the marketplace. But we sort of did that earlier tonight on Unencrypted because tonight we're going to be talking about metaverses and the big easy. If our prime time Bills commentator joins us anytime soon. But we're starting tonight with a new segment called In the Sandbox with Cheyenne.
Well, I don't know if it's going to be called that all the time, but okay.
Yeah, I didn't know if I was gonna if we were gonna call it that all the time
Yeah.
either.
Yeah.
Um okay, but Tim, I actually kind of like there's the Sierra. Oh, there goes the Sierra. We had
Yeah,
a
hold on a
Sierra.
minute. I got to
She's no
bring
longer
Sierra in.
visible. Well, she's no longer visible. But yeah, we're gonna just start putting people on the wall, aren't we? Like, what I don't understand is why I have a sort of border on my. I don't know if it's my left or my right. Anyways, okay, so it looks like Sierra is just simply not visible. It says that she's on mute. I don't know if we can unmute Sierra to make sure she can hear us. But tonight we are going to be talking about, like I said, In the Sandbox with Cheyenne, and that may not be the name, but Tim, I actually wanted to have you kind of make sure you tuned in for this because this is
I'm
really
here.
kind of okay. Yeah, I just kind of want
Yep.
you to. So Cheyenne is going to screen share with us in just a little bit, walking through a metaverse.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, I feel like I need to preface all of that first. Because seriously, I'm not a gamer or anything. I've played games, I've enjoyed games. But this is particularly interesting to me because of the crypto piece of it. The fact that, Mark Zuckerberg, who is easily one of those tech titans that we just talked about in the last segment, who, dropped that big announcement that they changed their whole name of their successful brand of Facebook and changed it to Meta. So, those are all very interesting things. So about a year ago, I started myself investing into crypto. Chuck had been talking about crypto back in 2017 when they got all heated up, and Bitcoin had a big breakout then. So Chuck had invested into a few things. And, every time I tried to listen to Chuck about, what are you talking about? What is this stuff? It always, the conversation always went back to, oh, it's like the Internet of Things. And yes, I guess it is. And my understanding now is a little different as to what all of this cryptocurrency is. And so my experience over the past year has been I've dabbled in some very very little money into meme coins, which I had no idea what that was. Now I have a little bit of an understanding of what meme coin means. And so now, with the introduction of the metaverse into my vocabulary, I decided that I really wanted to do a deep dive into this whole crypto world to really have a good understanding because I was getting um, frustrated, not really knowing what was going on. So I decided to turn my frustration into interest and I just did a deep dive. So that led me all kinds of places. I started listening to people who literally look like they're like 15 years old and they're, like crypto millionaires and all of this stuff and how they've been successful with this. So I'm like, you know what, let me pay attention to this. And I find it really interesting because you kind of get this FOMO, like you're going to miss something if you don't get involved in this stuff, right? So, you know, I listened to a conversation that Mark Zuckerberg had recently, and he was talking about, you know, the transition from Facebook to Meta. And he made some really interesting statements. And the first one was that Facebook, or his company, has been working in the metaverse or on the metaverse for 7 years. So that's a long time to be working into something that, you know, was for most of us, there's just a very brand new, interesting, cool concept. Second thing is that they're dumping billions of dollars into this thing. It is, you know, just that one company is dumping $10 billion into the metaverse, right? And then the third thing that he said that was really interesting to me, which really made me realize and understand that this is such a baby of a market, was that he was talking about, and I took some notes with what he was saying. He was talking about, you know, virtual reality versus augmented reality, and, you know, what those differences were. And I didn't really understand what it was until I explained it. But for those who don't know, virtual reality is more like a Fortnite. You know, you get into a game like that where you're kind of in a virtual reality. Augmented reality is where you are kind of interacting in a real, like a more meaningful way, which is what the hope is, with through, you know, you put a suit on, you put glasses on, you put those types of things on your body, and then you kind of had those interactions with people. So what he said that was really interesting to me was that meaningful interactions in the augmented reality, where like maybe you're shaking someone's hand in this augmented reality and you can actually feel the pressure, you know, there's like a physical, you can feel that, you know. He said we're 20 years out from that, from this moment. So to me, that was such a revelation that this is such a baby. I mean, this is just being born right now. So all of those things started, you know, getting me into this concept of metaverse and what that means, and the whole gaming piece, because, you know, I've dabbled in a little bit of games, played with the kids, you know, Call of Duty and all of that kind of stuff, which is really cool. I played Fortnite, thought that was super cool, but, you know, I was really thinking, well, maybe I'm just too old for this kind of stuff, you know, I shouldn't be doing that. But projects like the Sandbox and Decentraland, those are two common projects that kept coming up as I've been listening to countless, you know, people talk about these projects, and, you know, how we're really on the cusp of something, you know, brand new. And so as I was kind of deep diving into this, I really got the feeling that it's like the wild, wild west out there. It's like there are so many projects. There are so many coins. There's like thousands of coins out there right now. And there's many, many more that are right, you know, on the cusp of being born. And that, you know, so in regard to the Sandbox, I thought that one was something that I could really find some interest in. First of all, there's tons of other big names that are linked to the Sandbox, you know, like The Walking Dead. Like that, to me, I love that whole franchise. It's something I, you know, just thought would be kind of cool to be in a virtual, you know, reality with The Walking Dead. You know, Snoop Dogg is involved with the Sandbox, and everybody loves Snoop Dogg. He's, you know, like one of those totally cool figures. Adidas. I mean, tons of other projects are linked with this one particular Sandbox thing, right? So I'm like, okay, well, I need to figure out what Sandbox is. So Sandbox is a virtual reality metaverse. Like, you go into this site, and I'm just now just kind of scratching the surface of what this thing actually is. And because I'm so far behind on like the whole gaming world, and, you know, there's so many other people out there that are just like, oh yeah, well, this is this. And, you know, and for me, I really needed to like be able to explain it in like layman terms. because that's the other interesting thing about this. There's like a whole different language out there. Like, does anybody know what a voxel is? A voxel art? Like, I had no idea what that was, but that is, and I took notes, that's 3D art, right? So I had no idea what that was. But Sandbox, one of the three things that Sandbox really does is, first of all, they have like this whole virtual reality, this gigantic space that's all virtual. They sell virtual land, so literally like a little piece of pixel, like a pixel.
Hold on. I just have to like kind of jump in there because I think it's funny whenever like people start to really realize, wait, no, people are buying virtual land
Yeah,
for millions of dollars. And like, it's funny because like you just see it, like, even though you know this, just watching you explain it, like, you actually have to engage your mind to go, no. What I'm saying here is actually real.
yeah. So it's almost like it's a pixel, like you're buying a pixel for the minimum. What was the minimum? We looked it up the other day, and the minimum was like somewhere like $14,000-$15,000, right? You know,
Yeah.
sand that would equate to $14,000-$15,000. So you can purchase virtual land with the currency in the Sandbox is called sand. So you convert your dollars into sand, and you can navigate through this world. You can use Ethereum to purchase things in their marketplace, or you could use sand. So you can purchase sand. They have this, I don't know what it's called. What is it called? A
What's
creator.
that?
They have a voxel art creator. So voxel art is a 3D art. So they have a whole creator in there that you can go in there and create your own things that you want to have in this metaverse. So that's one of the things that they do. They have a marketplace. So all of the things that you can create, you can sell or trade or use in your own little metaverse land. You can sell it on their marketplace. And if you think that that's like crazy, there was one piece of art that sold in there that was like $50 million. I mean, it's absolutely insane what's actually happening in these virtual places. The next thing that you can do in there is that there's a whole game creator. So on your little piece of land that you've purchased in this this space, you can create your whole own world in there. You can create your whole a game. You can embed NFTs. You can embed sand, so people can come to your world and find little treasures, little sand, and all of that stuff. So it's really kind of interesting.
While you're queuing, is your computer ready to show it?
I hope so. Do I
Okay.
have to just do like
Yeah, you've got to go there. There's screen share. All right. And while you're getting ready to cue that up, I guess this will be kind of the fun thing, because let me kind of I'll give my 2 cents and my thing. Like, when I saw this the other day, I mean, Tim, you'll instantly get it once Cheyenne shows you the land. It's basically $1 million homepage, right? It's 1K giveaway. It's all of that.
Of course.
But the land that's currently there, like, yeah, the Walking Dead is there, as is Snoop Dogg. So, like, you know, people
the
are
Care
already going
Bears.
Care
It's
Bears, right? People
insane
are
the
already
kind of
going to
stuff that's in
visit,
there.
right? And this is where what's happening is, like, you start to think e-commerce store, and this will be where the metaverse, people in the metaverse, go to visit your Sandbox store. So in the same way that like Macy's might have a store down in Fort Lauderdale and one in New York City, right? I mean, your e-commerce stores will exist in multiple metaverses.
And you can employ people to go and work with their little person, their little digital person could work for you in your store.
So what we're going to look at
It's
today is
crazy.
effectively like you're walking into a museum of NFTs. And Tim, I want you to think of, in Udicci's room, we would have a curator or like somebody, the butler or something, whatever, who would, and that's what like Cheyenne's saying, you employ somebody, like, I don't know who that would be or what we'd be doing there specifically, but what this would be like the start, like it would be a movie theater where you would watch Udicci's Chain Story, So it would be like our billboard in the sandbox.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
This goes back years and years and years ago. Cheyenne, you probably even remember this conversation where we talked about the Monopoly board, like the
Yeah.
virtual Monopoly game where we'd actually visit the actual stores and or visit the actual places. I mean,
Yep.
we had that
This is
conversation back
exactly
in the
what's happening right
90s.
now.
Right.
I mean, they're gonna be doing like virtual concerts. They're gonna be doing virtual
already-
dance
They
parties.
already do the
They
Already
concert.
do that
I
stuff.
know it's
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
But you know, when you have somebody like a Snoop Dogg that's backing it up, you
Oh,
know,
it's well, yeah, and that's kind of the thing. Like when you say, like, you know, it's 20 years down the road, and the reality is it's been going on for the past 7, right? Like it's the past 7 to 10 years when we talk about there have been concerts that have only existed in these virtual metaverses that we're just now kind of learning about. But
and
yeah,
it's really
Cheyenne, do you have-
interesting because to access a lot of these events, you have to have a certain NFT. And there's only a certain amount of these NFTs that are produced. You can only buy them on certain marketplaces. And oh yeah, they're, you know, sometimes they're going to be, you know, $50,000 to be able to get in there, you know. But a lot of these people who are in this particular space, they have already made it big in like Ethereum. They've made it big in
Right.
you know, all
This
of these
is
other
an-
things. So that's easy for them to spend that kind of money.
Yeah, that's an
Easy
easy
though.
point. If you want to get your screen ready, and then Tim, we can kind of go to a full screen.
Where, do I go to? Let me ask you a question. Do I go to create a secondary stream?
So you could do it that way, or on the bottom you should see a screen
Like-
share. Yeah, it is. Yeah,
like a
create a secondary
screen.
screen. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, that's what that button says now. I guess I thought it was screen share. But that should open up. And
You
now
guys-
I forget. What's that?
Do you see this?
No, we don't
Not
see
yet.
it yet.
Oh crap. Okay.
Okay. So yeah, while you're working on that, and then Tim, like I said, we can go to you know, full screen.
Yeah, I'm ready. I
which
got
are-
it queued.
It's you know, when you start to think about what this is all about, right? What is the next layer of work? What is the next layer? How are we going to interact together? But also, like, what are the other kind of what are the new emerging models that you're going to come with? When just one of them, if we just allow this one to be a little bit fun, is that we literally could have scavenger hunts across multiple metaverses. And, you know, we talk about these concerts, like maybe you have to go to 3 to 5 or 10 different metaverses and collect some given little token key, and you get that key. And of course, now that's your NFT and you get to keep it. But that also gives you access into some other sort of concert. So it's going to be sort of, it can easily be a very much a pay for action, right? It's access, it's asset for action economies is kind of a fun way of looking at this. But all right, if you got it full screen, Tim, and
Yeah,
Well, it's still loading.
It's still loading.
So if you want to,
oh,
like,
it's still loading.
yeah,
Okay,
it's still
all right.
loading.
Yeah, so this is kind of interesting too, because and this part I might get a little bit wrong. I'm not quite sure of, but I understand that if it's not Sandbox here, I think it's another one that they have, you know, like we use Canva right now to kind of do some basic graphic design. I believe that like this metaverse or one of the other ones has a tool that they're doing so that you can kind of do your own basic spatial design, which I think would be just kind of fun, right? It's like, it doesn't have to be anything. You know, to me, I'm sitting here going, let's start with a cube. I mean, if we start with, remember earlier we were talking about fictitious characters, we start with a cube and a stick figure, and we've now got a human in a room, right? And one of the reasons we want to do things really simple is just, again, so people can sort of get it. It's like when you keep it simple, you know, people can start to walk in with you. But make no mistake, none of this is simple. And this really begins to speak to what we were talking about in the earlier segment, which is there is a place where you just have to find your role and really ask the questions of those you choose to trust, and kind of, you know, walk with them, and always going back, and you can test that trust and do whatever you need to do. But there is so much information to understand that trust is going to be like, that's part of vulnerability again, right? trust requires some vulnerability, and where we go from that. So what do you think, Shiny? Did it take this long to load last time?
Yeah, because I had to download it, so it's not like on the web. I mean, it is obviously because it's interactive that way, but I had to download it, and it is still opening.
Okay, so it might be a couple minutes on this, and that's okay. What we can do is we can kind of go to break, give this a few minutes to load, get drinks, whatever else, and we'll be back in a few minutes. Big Easy. And I'm going to have you tell us all about the Big Easy. Now, wait,
I'm working on getting her in, getting her in there. Hold on a second.
Okay, well, I wasn't sure because what I'm looking at now looks like 4 screens. I wasn't sure if like we were starting to split screen with Sierra. But anyways, so Sierra went to Nolans to watch the Bills, have a good game. They definitely had a good game. Lost a big player, and but I guess here's the thing: was the game the biggest highlight, or was the city?
I think the city, it was weird. During the game, it just like didn't feel like the game was as much of a blowout as the score indicated. So the game was a ton of fun. It was a lot of fun to go to and experience, but I just think the city is so cool. It's such a cool city.
It's one of my favorite.
Yeah, it's such a cool city.
It really is. And obviously the first thing about New Orleans is the food.
Yeah.
And you're becoming an oyster queen.
Well, I didn't even think I liked them before, but I guess it's something I guess I like them.
You
I
develop
didn't
that.
think I did.
And you know
Can
what?
you hear Mally? Can you hear Mally snoring?
Yeah, I
Or
just heard.
no?
I thought I was
Okay.
like, yeah,
Okay.
that's funny. And then I think like, oh, hold on. Janice is messaging me. Sorry. Okay. All right. So Janice is that she's having some work issues, or helping people at work. You know what I think from your what you shared while you were there? My take on what you one thing you super appreciated was that clarinetist.
Yeah, I thought that was so cool. I think what I appreciated was just like it doesn't matter that she's worth however many millions of dollars. She still just goes and she plays her clarinet on the street corner in the French Quarter of New Orleans in her jeans and a t-shirt and just sits there and plays with local artists. And I just think it's with her bucket right there in front of her. And I just think it's so cool. And she's very, very good at that too. We sat there and listened to her for maybe an hour playing on the street, like sitting on the side of the road, just listening the entire hour.
So, one of the things you said is that it was obvious she loved music.
Yeah, when. Okay, so there's some people that sit on the side of that play, maybe in the streets or something like that, and you can tell it's just not the same. The way they play music and compared to how she was playing it, she was just I don't even know how to describe it. I don't know how you can describe it, but it was just really, really, really impressive.
I think I think anybody who gets close to music will have those kinds of experiences where they see an artist truly enjoying music, and for the sake of music. Then you start to, once you see that, you begin to see those who are good with music and enjoy it also, but it's more about them performing than it is the music. And that's not a negative thing. It's like they become part of the performance, and maybe that is what they're getting out of it. So I don't mean that to be a negative thing, but I think that there's when you just sort of get lost in the moment of the music itself.
Yeah.
And
I just kept you could just tell every time she played, and it just seemed so genuine. Everything she played, whether it was some song somebody requested or something else, it was just so good. All of it.
So right now it looks like your mother's other screen share, she changed
now
browser tabs, right? And,
Yep.
we were open 15 times inside of there. But that's cool. So now let's talk about the game though. Obviously a big loss. And you said that it didn't seem like as much, and it's kind of an interesting thing. I guess I guess I sort of maybe felt something like that watching, is that it didn't seem like as big of a blowout as the score indicated.
The game went by fast too, though. It just in general, I thought it was a really fast game. But yeah, it didn't feel like it was. It was. And it's always different going to the game because there's when you're at home and watching it on TV, there's commercial breaks every 2 minutes. Whereas there, it's like the players just kind of stand there for a couple of minutes because they're like, oh, we're on a TV break. And then they come back to play. So it's just a different feel. But I just remember every other game that I've been to, at least I don't know, like it just didn't seem, maybe just because there wasn't any like super explosive plays or anything, but it just didn't feel like it was a big blowout. But all I remember, I spent a good amount of time watching Trey White, like watched him on the field go down. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then the way he reacted when he came to the sideline, he just like threw his helmet down. And I was like, oh no, that's not good. Guys usually
big loss. Definitely a big loss. It's interesting because, the Saints are not pushovers. They're not necessarily top of the game right now. And
well, they were also fielding like a JV offense, and they are right
exactly.
now,
Like
too.
right, they were exactly. They were not like any sort of powerhouse team on that field that day,
right?
So
that's what you want teams. Like if you're supposed to be a good team, you should win games like that in that capacity. And that's what generally this entire season the Bills have done that. They have beat up on bad teams, but they just can't. They can't close out against, I guess, better opponents. The best win they have on the season is against Kansas City, and at that time, Kansas City wasn't even playing well. So,
and it'll be interesting because it's like, I'll go back. We'll go back to we talked about the era before, the Kelly era, and it was Reich who brought the team back from the greatest comeback in NFL history, right? So you have to be able to have that confidence in the backup team that they're going to step up to the occasion. And, there is nobody in the league. I mean, maybe one, maybe two, but I think Tre'Davious is really like a top number one, player in that position. But, maybe in the league, there's a couple, and certainly we can't expect that a rookie is going to have, because it is a rookie, right? That steps in behind him.
He's a second-year player, but yeah.
Okay, second-year player.
He's a second-year player coming to step. Yeah, and Trey White is a top 5 cornerback in the league at that position. He is like the heart and soul of that defense, I think. He represents like a changing of the guard, if you will, within the Bills organization. He's the very first draft pick that came with Sean McDermott. And there's no understating how big of a loss it is. But in the end, like it's always going to be on Josh Allen because it needs to be like Josh Allen needs to have the offense score more points. Like you can't. The defense has done its job more than enough times this year, and maybe in 2 games you can be like, "Wow, yeah, you guys kind of suck today." Every other game, the defense has been done more than enough, and so now you need to see Josh Allen and the offense step up. And if he's truly supposed to be an MVP candidate, we need to see him. We haven't seen him come in bigger games. We haven't seen him come besides Kansas City this year. He was pretty good in Tennessee too. You know what? Actually, he was pretty good in Tennessee too. On Monday,
I still think you have line issues.
I don't know. I thought the line was okay. I the other day. I thought the offensive line was okay the other night.
Well, the whole team was
except
okay.
Except for Deion Dawkins. Deion Dawkins, franchise left tackle, was getting left and right by a backup defensive end.
Now, but that should be encouragement, right? Because we're bringing in the backup cornerback, and you do want the backups to beat up on some of the best players on the field, right? Like you want that kind of play for your team, and that's in the same way where whoever it was you were just talking about there, that brings something to the team that says I'm going to play as hard as I can play, and hopefully make a difference. And it sounds like he did make a difference.
No. I'm saying our left tackle, our starting left tackle, Deion Dawkins, was getting beat up by the Saints defensive end all night.
I know. Yeah, no, I got you. Yeah. I'm saying that like in the same way that the Saints kind of were fielding a very beat up team.
No, I would say their defense was really they were missing one person on the defense. So the defense was pretty full strength.
Then that's good.
It was the offense that was struggling. Yeah, and they still, and so that's what's encouraging. But you still want to see you want to see the offense come through, I think, at this point, because the defense, is probably going to give up some plays now. They're still going to probably be at least middle of average, which is fine, above average, but they're not going to be as good as they were just because the way they're able to play their defense with Trey White on the field is just going to be so vastly different. Because Trey White essentially locks down.
But it comes down to a coaching thing, and
Yeah.
thankfully, right, we've got McDermott, who that's his thing, is defense, right, and we've got a defensive coach who's just awesome, right? I mean, so at this point, it really is going to be on the coaches to help make sure that that defense continues to bend but not break.
Yeah.
So it'll be
Yeah,
interesting.
that's exactly.
So what do you do as a coach? Okay, so now Coach Sierra, Coach's Corner. All right, so we're heading into the Patriots, and we shouldn't be behind them, but we are, and we've dropped a few that we shouldn't have dropped, but we did, and we played pretty well last week, but we had a huge, major loss to the team. Okay, we're getting beat up. We're getting beat up in the league. What are we doing now?
Well, I think first things first is it's just reiterating, especially on the defensive side of the ball, that everybody has to play their job, do their job at one point, because, like I said, Tre'Davious White essentially in that defense is able just to lock down his side of the field every single time, so they don't really have to worry about it. Of course, he gets beat from time to time, but it's really going to just be dependent. You need the next man to step up, and you need to understand that he's going to make some mistakes, but you need everybody to step up. It's not just the guy who's taking the place of Tre'Davious White. It's everybody.
Do you change teams?
What?
Do you
change?
No, nothing. Okay, nothing like that.
No, you probably can't play as aggressive as you usually do. What else? And I'm I know I keep saying this, but you need the offense to put up some points, and you can't have short fields.
Okay, but they have been putting up points, except for when they put up 6. It's funny. I was at.
But then they put up 6, and then how many did they put up against the Colts? In garbage time. What you need is, and not as many turnovers. Josh Allen, I think, has had, I don't even know how many. He has 10 interceptions on the season, which of course I probably during the Jim Kelly era they threw a lot more. But you can't put your defense into these compromising situations that are going to force short fields by throwing turnovers. You have
Let's talk about one of the turnovers in that game was basically attributed to Diggs turning in instead of turning out. And I'm like, that's interesting. And they kind of said that it was thrown, if you will, to the inside shoulder, but Diggs turned to the outside shoulder. And the way the commentators were talking about it, it said it was sort of like the receiver's choice, right? So Josh knew the route that was going to be run, but he didn't necessarily know whether it was in or whether it was out. And somehow these guys are normally in sync. But in this case, they weren't. So he effectively threw it directly to where the defender would rightly be defending for that shoulder, right? But so he had the right position, except for they didn't know. How is it that the quarterback and a receiver communicates in that split second?
I don't know. I think at least the way I understand it is over time and repetition is where this comes into play. And obviously miscommunications happen, but it's you just can't have it happen this late in the season, especially when these guys have been playing together for 2 years. Josh threw it right to the defender. At least the second interception is forgivable. His arm's getting hit. What are you going to do? You need everybody playing their role. And so if an offensive lineman is going to give up pressure that's going to allow the quarterback's arm to get hit, that's going to result in an interception. What are you going to do? But the wonky ones where it's just he's forcing these passes for no reason, and you will not be able to get away with that on Monday night against Patriots. Patriots are a very, very good team this year, which sucks, but they are a very good team.
So it's interesting because I think Now I just forgot what I was going to say. So we're going to move on from there. Going to move on from there, except for I can't. What's going on? Are you guys there?
I am.
I'm here.
Okay, and that thing's still loading. All right. So now, question for you.
Okay.
All right. Is it worthy effort to clean up somebody else's mess?
Yeah. I think so.
Do you think that our typical initial response as humans to cleaning up somebody else's mess is typically a positive response?
No.
Right. Why?
Because I think we're annoyed. If we're just talking quite literally, like a mess, if you spill Coke on the floor, I'm annoyed that it's on the floor and not in the bottle. You know what I mean? Like it's not being consumed, or it's the fact it's just an inconvenience.
But the response of cleaning up somebody else's mess, as we say, is worthy, right? So why would we want to impede in any way allowing ourselves to perform a worthy act?
You have to
Fun
reformulate that
conversations for
question.
that. We're going to go deep into the heart of the sandbox now, and we'll see if the great wizard can answer these deep questions. So, Tim, if you can go ahead and switch us up, and Cheyenne wants to bring us back here, we'll let Cheyenne now kind of give us some time in the metaverse. Okay, I think you've got, here we go.
All right. So you see my little icon here. Now, and I heard somebody describe this whole time period that we're in as basically this is the Pong of the metaverse. So imagine all of this stuff, how it will be, I don't know, years to come, months to come, as they start to get better with these graphics and stuff. So to me, this kind of reminds me of like Minecraft or something like that. But this is my little person right here. Let me see if I can turn around. And it's moving really slow, probably because of the connection and all of that. So this is my little icon thing that I made. So that's her. And you can see here, like there's the Walking Dead, the entry to that whole universe over here. But we're going to first go into this whole NFT collection space here, which is basically like a big... I don't know what you're going to call it, a big art gallery, really. So we can go talk to this guy. Right, let's see.
Now, this guy, is this guy, like, we don't know, but I'm just going to assume that this guy is just part of the sandbox, but he could actually be one of those people you're talking about that's getting paid to perform a role in the metaverse.
Right, so this guy is telling me that if you own an Alpha Pass, you can complete Alpha Quests. And so if you own an Alpha Pass, because this is their Alpha version, then you can go in and collect like 1,000 sand and like 3 NFTs. So that's what you would get with just the Alpha Pass. But obviously I don't have the Alpha Pass. I want the Alpha Pass. I don't have one. Okay, so let's just say okay here. All right, so we're going to get away from that guy, and we're going to go over here into this art gallery. And one of the first things that we're going to run up to is this Bored Ape NFT. So see that big NFT right there? That one is one that sold for like $20 million. Which is insane, right?
Yeah, coming back to like the NFT things here. Now, going back to the day where we were trying to explain what an NFT was, and everyone's like, well, it's just an image. Well, yes, it is. As we can see on the wall there, it's an image, but you'll see that it says things like read. And what that is because you can actually put different functionality into these NFTs. And And what I mean by that is like literally the character that you either build or somebody else builds, and you buy that, and you actually then would be interacting as an NFT. Your NFT would actually look like an active icon, basically, or avatar.
So you see this one here, you can like view this one in the marketplace. Let me see what we can do if we can just go to the marketplace really quick so you can see what that looks like. And so it's just, this is just basically OpenSea, so I don't know that.
Oh, so that's just bringing you over to OpenSea.
This is going to bring you to OpenSea, where you could potentially, purchase this CryptoPunk if you wanted to.
So, Tim, like one of the things I'm thinking about is I'd like to figure out if we could do an atomic swap with the sandbox. I don't know like who we'd have to talk to learn how to do that or whatever else, but I think it'd be really cool to be able to like put, because then any NFTs that you had on BSV could then be put in through the sandbox also.
Yeah, I don't know what blockchain this is running on, so I'm not familiar with it.
I think, yeah, Cheyenne, do you know the blockchain, or is Sandbox their own?
Oh, gosh.
Are they Solana?
I think it's Polygon.
They're on Polygon?
I think. Please don't quote me on that one, because I've been looking at a bunch of different things. So that person right there, that's a different person, obviously. So all of these people running around, those are just all different people that are in this space, exploring, what's going on. So this is a really big art gallery that you can go a whole bunch of different places and look at a whole bunch of NFTs and go buy stuff if you wanted to.
Now, this would definitely be something. This would be fun to maybe do something with GodCloud if he's interested. I don't know where they're at. I mean, they just had that huge NFT gallery thing, and I know that they're doing a few other pieces. But yeah, they've got to be working on something in the metaverse.
So if I wanted to go over here, like here's Rick Grimes from The Walking Dead. So if I had the Alpha Pass, I could go right through those doors and go into The Walking Dead world. Here's Snoop Dogg over here. If I can get over. This is kind of more difficult when you don't have like a thing for the computer. So Snoopverse. You could get into Snoopverse if you wanted to. But you need to have like a specific NFT, or basically a pass to get in there. So you go buy an NFT, and then you can have access to that.
So can you zoom out and kind of look at some of the land maps?
Oh, you want to see a map?
Yeah, land map.
All right. So hold on. Yeah, let me get there.
While she's doing that, obviously, when we talk in terms of Udicci having maps as opposed to dApps, well, then maybe this will even start to make a little bit more sense when we're literally saying that we're going to have to mediate information across environments, right? And you are mapping information between metaverses and the real world. Okay, so here is a map, and this is like how you can buy some land.
So see how much land Snoop Dogg owns. So each one of these little squares is what you can actually purchase. Obviously down here, what's actually available is color coded down there.
So let's find the least expensive thing we can find right now. Let's buy land in the middle of nowhere next to the swamp.
I'm going to go here and say buy land.
Okay. Because, this is virtual land, so we should really be able to get that pretty affordably. I mean, if we just want a little pixel to say, I want some land here, what's the least amount that we can get in for, so we can put in a little stick figure?
Okay, so like this one right here where my little thing, so what you would be paying for here is that little square right there, that little yellow square is the what's for sale, and it's for sale for 25 Ethereum.
And how much is Ethereum trading for today?
$4,500 each.
So 4,500 times 2,500 is, okay, my brain is going, but what are we talking? $112,000 for that, roughly? Is that about right?
Something like that, yeah. So you can see here, like here's one for sale for 6 Ethereum.
Oh,
and
not bad at all. Now we're just down to
can-
like 25,000.
Right. So it's and here's what 200, 100, and then as you go down here, because you can see as Atari owns a big, huge space in here too. So you would be buying
Near
a little
Atari.
block right near Atari.
Yeah.
And you know, just like regular land in real estate, it's all about location.
Yeah.
So
location,
the better
location,
locations are going to cost more money. So you can see here just all of the different land that they have for sale. It's insane.
So if we could get lucky, we might be able to find some property in the sandbox for somewhere around, $25,000 today. Anybody want to guess what that property is going to be selling for tomorrow? Right? It's going to be nuts. Now, the thing is with the sandbox, it is going to get to the point where it's cheaper. But exactly as Cheyenne was saying, it's all about location, 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 right? And eventually you're building up the cities and trying to get more density so people will visit you.
So this one is for sale in sand. So you could purchase sand, convert it to sand, but you'd spend 5,500 sand.
And how much
one sand right now is probably around $6 each.
So we got 33,000 for that little dot. 33,000. Now let me ask you, the piece of property next to your home right now, I don't know, is that property without a house? If it was just raw land, unimproved land, nothing on that land, just a bunch of trees and weeds, and it's a tiny little lot, let's say maybe a quarter acre, is that worth $33,000? Maybe some places, Beverly Hills, right? But I mean, this is virtual land.
It's virtual land, yeah.
Right. This is virtual land.
You get the idea here.
Keep in mind, keep in mind, pets.com exploded and the whole internet went kaboom. All of this is going to go kaboom, except for all of it's going to come back in its form that is actually going to revolutionize the way that we interact with one another, because what we're seeing here is just the beginning. This is a virtual world. You also will have augmented reality worlds where you'll be wearing glasses and walking through worlds like this as you're walking through your own life. And you'll be able to go visit a store like any other retail store that you might normally go to, and who knows, all of a sudden on your glasses you see another virtual store that just popped up, and you can just walk into that virtual store and order whatever it is that you want to order. Or, it's going to just change the way we do everything. And
yeah, it's really interesting.
Like Cheyenne said earlier, like that they're talking about, like you'll be able to feel as if somebody's shaking your hand, and that's like 20 years down the road. And the reality is that's not 20 years down the road. Like we already have some of that kind of haptic feedback, some of that kind of input suit. They're just not widely available. I don't think we're 20 years down the road on this stuff. I'm thinking we're 7 to 10 years till exactly said we're walking around with suits on that help us feel what we're seeing in our augmented reality as we're navigating meta worlds.
Yeah, so Sandbox is really kind of interesting because of really what it is and all of the different partnerships that they have. I mean, they have Nike. Nike just recently said that they're about to jump into one of these metaverses. They haven't said where specifically, but they also said it's going to seem like it just came overnight and all of a sudden they are producing NFTs and in the metaverse. But really, they've been working on this for years. So for all of the big players have been moving and understanding that this is the next progression.
So now we're going to let Sierra close out the last minute. Sierra, are you ready for this? Tell me, how do you go about getting a Buffalo Bills NFT?
Well, the way I understand it is that they just started selling NFTs the other day. So,
well, with that, the NFTs are attached to the tickets right now.
Yeah.
So if you purchased a ticket, which is right, some of them are selling for a couple $1,000s.
So
from what I saw. and then
And
you
now
get
it's taken us probably
this
about
NFT.
it's taken us about 10 months to get here. But if I were to say it this way, if you went to the Super Bowl and that Super Bowl ticket was also an NFT, you know, any Super Bowl ticket over the last 50 years in decent condition actually still has sort of value, possibly greater than the ticket price it originally was, right? Because there's a collector's that it's like there are collectors that really want to have these things, and they will pay top money when things are like in top condition. And part of being in top condition would be able to verify ownership. And an NFT would actually track anytime that the owner of that physical piece of property changed. So you would have a digital representation of that ticket, and it would be able to follow it kind of indefinitely. So it's just actually just adds further value to tangible pieces of of goods that we use. And at the same time, it actually is acting as a ticket processing for you're able to put the seats down and everything else. So it's actually a system to help, it's a software system to help actually handle logistics and operations while at the same time creating greater benefit for the experience that you already have. Now, it's taken us 10 months to get to the point where the Bills have had an NFT. Before we just started with, what the hell's an NFT? Now, everybody, just follow me. So, Sierra, do you think you understand NFTs yet?
Yeah, I get like it to a certain extent. I can't really see the value in it yet, but I understand like what
No,
it
it is
is.
really it really kind of hurts your brain a little bit because I mean that's why I decided that I would like I really want to understand this because I really feel like this is the direction that we're going, and it was decided by the millennials and the younger generation, and that's why it's going to be going this way because they have decided that it's going this way. So I'm like, I've got to understand this stuff. I just have to. I have to understand it. So
it's just funny that
I was thinking like when you turn 30, it probably maybe will hit like register.
I doubt it.
Now that I'm 30, I'll start to understand it.
Maybe.
I think it will.
An NFT is it's so much more than just a picture because you can embed it with different things.
Well, not for everything. Yeah. Literally, I think the best way for us to now start to understand it is that it's a square empty box. And in that square empty box, you can do anything you want to do inside that square empty box, right? I mean, you could put the Snoop Dogg shop, or you could put a Buffalo Bills ticket, and maybe that Buffalo Bills ticket is what is required for you to get into some special Buffalo Bills thing 3 years from now, right? Like that they're starting to literally sell future value with these tickets. Like if you have this ticket, you get to come to some tailgate, whatever else. It's like you actually can track all of that so much easier. So it's not one thing, it's anything you want it to be.
So that Bored Ape NFT, that big one that was on there was like that ape looking one that sold for, millions of dollars. The creators of the Bored Ape Yacht Club, I think that's what they're called. So it's a group of guys. They created all these NFTs. That brand is worth more than $1 billion.
And I think that one of the
things doesn't make any sense. None of that makes sense.
It does. It does. It's exactly, and this is the point I was actually wanting to make earlier that and reiterate, or let's put the big bold font on what you were saying earlier, Cheyenne, is that one of the reasons all of this is happening is because you had a bunch of people way back in the 5 years ago who were getting millions of Ethereum and millions of Bitcoin and millions of these other coins, and they were getting them for less than the most recent Doge low point of 0.0004, right?
Exactly.
I mean, these were things when they were 1/1000th of a penny and are now $2,000, $4,000, $5,000, $65,000. So when they're actually like buying a crypto ape for $1 million, in the end that's like 0.01% of the holdings that they currently have.
Yeah, no, I get that. I totally get that. But it's not just those people that are beginning to invest in this stuff. I mean, we're talking about this is like that's an actual serious investment for people. Which
Oh,
to
and
me,
it absolutely should be.
I mean,
It
up until when
absolutely should be. This changes everything. Even the stock market, as you know it, will change because of this, and it has to.
I mean,
And
up until the point that I started really doing a deep dive in here, I didn't really understand really the value of the NFTs, and now I'm really starting to get it.
It's just flat out nuts.
Yeah, no, and it's hard. It's there's the lingo is all different. Like just because there's a coin out there that they do different things. Some of them do nothing. A lot of it's a scam. So you got to really be careful about what you're doing. But there's a lot of stuff out there that's really kind of cool. So I'm going to continue my deep dive.
We're going to close out our
learning.
Ceox segment because we're late for joining the pirates. But I'm just going to close it out with that whole idea of it being worthy to clean up other people's mess. And Sierra, when we started the conversation, it's like you spill some milk on the floor, and the first opportunity or the first response is often annoyance and frustration. But you know what? If we clean it up, it's like we've cleaned up our environment. We've helped somebody else that made a mistake, took away some of the shame that went with spilling the milk. Help them go back to a state of healthiness, more quickly by us acting toward worthy kind of efforts. And we're broken, where big messes have been made. And I guess that's one of the things we wanted to encourage through tonight is our right path forward is really trying to reset our heart and minds to that our first opportunity to serve is not one of annoyance, but one of gratitude for the ability to put forth worthy effort to cleaning up messes. Because there is a big, huge mess in our world right now that needs to be cleaned up, and it's not going to be easy. And it's going to take a lot to get through this. We are literally changing economics as we know it. There's going to be a lot of people hurt. There's going to be a lot that has to get through here. But if we can go toward this with a heart of gratitude for our ability to help one another become stronger and healthier through all of this, let's let our first response not be annoyance, but just one of appreciation that I was looked upon to be able to serve and clean up a mess. And I say all of that because we still have to get Schmub off the ground. So, Sierra, we've got like some Schmub captains and some other stuff. So I think next week we need to talk a little bit more about Schmub.
Sierra, I like your shirt.
Thanks.
It looks like Buffalo Bills stuff.
It was just the first thing I grabbed. It's like the biggest sweatshirt I have right now, so it's the most comfortable.
I think it looks more like the Smurfs and the Who's.
Yeah,
it's Dr. Seuss. It says how Buffalo stole the division.
Oh, that's okay. That's funny.